Something's shifting inside you. At first, it's subtle, just a hunch, a whisper, a pattern you've seen before but always dismissed as coincidence. But now, for the first time in a long time, it feels intentional. The nudges. The repeated thoughts. The weirdly perfect timing of things. What once felt random now starts to form a message. And you don't just think it, you feel it. In your chest. In the still moments, when all the noise fades away. The universe is calling you. Not with fireworks or dramatic signs. Not with loud answers. But with something much older, quieter, and deeply real. And the wildest part? You were meant to hear it now, not before, not later. Right now. Everything you've gone through up to this moment? All of it has prepared you for what you couldn't grasp until this point. The calling isn't new, it's just louder now because you're finally listening. Pain softened the walls you built. Disappointment stripped away the illusions you clung to. And in the space that opened up, where all the things you thought you needed used to live, you showed up. Raw. Real. Open. And all those questions that used to torment you, why the silence? Why the delay? Why the heartbreak? They're starting to rearrange themselves into something higher. Something deeper. You see, the universe hasn't been absent. It's been working. Designing. And not just designing outcomes, but designing you. Because delay? Delay isn't denial. It's divine timing. A sacred pause. The difference between rushing to build a shack and patiently crafting the foundation for a sanctuary that'll stand for generations. So many people think they're ready for what they're asking for. But the truth? The universe, in its infinite wisdom, waits. It waits until your soul is ready, until you're strong enough to carry the blessing without letting it collapse on top of you. And this delay, the one that's broken you down, made you cry, made you question everything, it's not a punishment. It's a realignment. You weren't being ignored. You were being transformed. The version of you that once made that request? That version couldn't yet handle what was coming. So the universe started a hidden work. Quiet. Unseen. Slow. It let things fall apart, things you were trying so hard to hold together. It took people out of your life who no longer matched your direction. It closed doors you kept trying to walk through. And yes, you mourned. You felt abandoned. But what you were really experiencing were beginnings in disguise. Think about this paradox. The biggest breakthroughs often look like breakdowns when they first show up. What seems like collapse is actually the ground being cleared to make room for a new foundation. You prayed for clarity, and instead, chaos walked in the door. But now you can see that the chaos was the clarity. You lost what you thought you needed, and in the process, you found out who you really are. That's the divine design hiding behind the delay. It doesn't just change your circumstances. It transforms you. And yet, even knowing this, waiting still hurts. There are days where it feels like you've been forgotten. Moments where your faith feels paper thin. When hope barely flickers. But here's what you have to hold on to. The universe did not bring you this far just to abandon you. The same power that rotates planets, shifts seasons, paints sunsets, that power is not skipping over you. You are not an accident. You're not being overlooked. You are a deliberate creation, and your journey is unfolding with precision. Imagine your life like a tapestry. But you're seeing it from the back. All you can see are tangled threads. A chaotic mess. Nothing makes sense. But turn it around, and suddenly, there's a masterpiece. That's what's happening now. You're looking at the messy, unfinished side. But the universe? The universe sees the front. And when the time is right, you'll see it too. You'll understand why the thread of pain had to pass through the thread of joy. Why it all had to happen exactly the way it did. Because nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. So lean in. This isn't just a call to receive. It's a call to trust. To let go of your tight grip on the timeline. To stop demanding that things happen your way. To see that delay isn't lack of movement, it's preparation. Sacred preparation. You're not stuck. You're being positioned. And when the time comes, and it will, you'll realize that all this waiting wasn't empty. It was everything. And once you begin to see this design, something deeper starts to rise up. Something most people miss. Silence. Not the kind of silence that feels like nothing's happening, but the kind that feels thick with meaning. Like the moment before a symphony starts. The quiet that holds everything. After the noise of disappointment fades, after your old plans collapse, there you are. Surrounded by quiet. But this isn't punishment. This is invitation. That silence you hear? That's not absence. That's sacred space. The universe isn't hiding from you. It's refining you. Silence is where your deepest strength starts to awaken. In the absence of constant answers, you start to hear your own voice again. Your own truth. You begin to separate noise from clarity, urgency from what truly matters. A lot of people run from silence. They think it means they've been abandoned. But the wise? The wise learn to enter it willingly. Because in stillness, your roots grow deep. Quietly. Unseen. You're not being ignored. You're being equipped. Think about a tree in winter. No leaves. No fruit. Looks dead from the outside. But underground? It's storing energy. Building strength. Getting ready for spring. Your life moves in that same rhythm. This silence? This is your winter. The universe hasn't paused your story to punish you, it's doing essential work behind the scenes. What feels like stagnation is actually protection. Preservation. There's a kind of wisdom being formed in this silence that can't be taught through words. It teaches you to wait without rushing. To endure without demanding. To trust when there's nothing left to prove. This is the silence where your soul is shaped. It doesn't feel glamorous. There's no applause. No signs. Just questions you once tried to avoid, now sitting beside you in the dark. And yet, this stillness, this quiet, is making you strong in ways you don't yet see. In this quiet space, something begins to change. You stop searching for immediate answers. You stop trying to force clarity. Instead, you begin to listen. Not just with your ears, but with your spirit. And in that stillness, your own soul begins to speak. Slowly, you learn the difference between what is simply loud and what is actually true. Between what screams for your attention and what actually deserves it. Silence, for many, is terrifying. It feels like absence, like being forgotten. But if you stay with it long enough, you'll discover it's not emptiness, it's presence. Sacred, patient, intentional presence. It's the universe saying, be still, I'm working. Think of how a tree stands through winter. No leaves, no blooms, no visible progress. To the casual eye, it looks like nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, it's preparing. Strengthening. Conserving energy for what's to come. Your life is no different. This stillness you're sitting in isn't stagnation. It's preservation. It's strategy. The universe is protecting something sacred, you. There's an intelligence in this silence. It teaches patience without speaking. It grows endurance without lectures. It invites you to sit with questions you once ran from and let uncertainty become your teacher, not your enemy. The universe trusts you with this silence. Trust it enough to stay. Don't rush the lesson. Don't beg for the noise to return. The wisdom you're gaining right now will serve you when the answers arrive. Even the sacred texts and timeless stories remind us of this holy pause. Joseph endured years in prison before stepping into his purpose. Jesus waited days before resurrecting Lazarus. These weren't delays born of neglect, they were divine intervals, perfectly timed. Silence is not the absence of God. It's often his most loving strategy. You're not being overlooked. You're being shielded from premature exposure. Sometimes clarity arrives too fast and it breaks us. The universe isn't interested in giving you shallow peace or rushed answers. It's building peace that lives in your bones, that holds you steady when things go sideways. And that kind of depth? It's forged only in silence. You're becoming someone who can stand in a storm and still stay rooted. The quiet is your forge. And as the noise fades, you begin to realize something powerful. Not everything needs to be understood right away. Some answers are only revealed when your heart is strong enough to hold them. Faith is not pretending you're not confused. It's choosing to keep walking even when the map isn't clear. Walking by faith means choosing peace over panic, especially in silence. Trusting that the universe is already ahead of you, working out the things you can't yet see. Let the silence do its work. Let it strip away what was fake, what was fragile, what couldn't follow you into your next season. There's something almost magical about realizing you can still stand even when nothing around you is changing. That kind of strength is rare. It's not for show. It can't be bought. It's earned in the quiet. In that space where your soul finally becomes clear. And then, quietly, without ceremony, you begin to shift. You stop chasing every sign. You stop demanding the next chapter before it's time. You stop needing all the answers. You start trusting the stillness. And somewhere inside, you soften. Not into weakness, but into wisdom. This silence becomes your sanctuary. And in it, you discover something more powerful than certainty: presence, purpose, peace. What once felt like distance from the divine now feels like nearness, deeper than emotion. The universe does not shout. It doesn't panic. It doesn't race. And now, neither do you. Your strength no longer depends on how things turn out. It's rooted in something deeper, the knowing that even in the silence, you're not alone. The universe is closer than your breath. Its timing, though mysterious, is always perfect. And once that silence becomes your sanctuary, something else starts to unfold. Not in a big dramatic way, but like a quiet realization that sneaks in through the back door. A slow awakening that everything really is happening on time. You're no longer stuck in the tension of not yet and finally. You start to notice the beauty in the wait. You begin to see that the timing you used to resent is actually your greatest ally. The more you let go of resistance, the more clearly you hear the rhythm of the universe. It has its own beat, subtle, slow, but incredibly precise. What once felt like nothing happening is now starting to feel like alignment. The universe never scrambles. It never panics. It never works from fear or ego. Unlike us, rushing to fix, rushing to prove, the universe moves with confidence. Quiet, calm, unstoppable confidence. It doesn't need to prove anything. It doesn't answer to your deadlines. It operates on soul time, not clock time. Every person, every opportunity, every shift, placed with care. Not to meet your expectations, but to protect your purpose. What feels slow is often the final touches on a perfect alignment. Timing isn't just about you receiving what you asked for, it's about making sure the world around you is ready to receive you. Think about that. You've been praying, wishing, asking, and it feels like silence. But that silence? It's the universe arranging things behind the scenes. Moving hearts. Closing doors that would have broken you. Creating paths you haven't even imagined yet. Divine timing isn't only about your readiness. It's about full readiness on all sides. And that's why it can't be rushed. Quick answers are often shallow, temporary. But the blessings that come on divine time? They're different. They come with depth, with healing, with permanence. They don't just solve a problem, they elevate your whole life. Because the universe doesn't respond to your words. It listens to your spirit, your maturity, your readiness. Imagine your life like a symphony. Every longing, every lesson, every delay is a note. If any note plays too soon or too long, the harmony breaks. The beauty fades. Timing matters. In music. In life. Maybe you don't understand why something ended. Why a person walked away. Why a door slammed shut. But the conductor saw something you couldn't, and adjusted accordingly. When the time is right, every note, every piece, every breakthrough will come in perfect sync. Not rushed. Not delayed. Right on cue. Delays hurt when we don't understand them, especially when you've poured your heart in. But hidden in many of those delays is grace. And you'll only recognize it in hindsight. So many things you once begged for would have harmed you more than helped you. You asked for doors to open, but you didn't know what was on the other side. You wanted people to stay, but they weren't meant for the version of you that's coming. That silence that once crushed you was actually saying, not yet. Because the full picture wasn't ready. And eventually, clarity begins to settle in, not always like lightning, but like puzzle pieces finally falling into place. You look back and realize some of your biggest heartbreaks were actually divine redirections. That job you didn't get led you to something more aligned. That delay gave you time to build the discipline that's now carrying you forward. That relationship that ended made room for someone who sees you, supports you, grows with you. When divine timing finally unfolds, it doesn't arrive needing your validation, it proves itself through an unmistakable sense of rightness. The struggle that once confused you begins to tell a story. And the more you live in awareness of divine timing, the more your relationship with time itself heals. You stop rushing. You stop comparing your journey to everyone else's. You stop measuring your life by how quickly things happen. You begin to recognize that every delay is refinement, not rejection. The fear of missing out starts to dissolve. Because what is yours can't miss you. What is aligned with your soul's calling cannot bypass you. When it comes, it won't feel forced. It will feel like home. Even your setbacks begin to take on new meaning. They stop shaking your faith. Instead, they sharpen your discernment. You stop seeing every no as rejection. You start seeing it as redirection. You understand that the same force that closed one door is already preparing a better one. This awareness changes the way you carry waiting. It doesn't wear you down anymore. It builds you up. You start waiting not with dread, but with expectation. Your faith isn't something you use to negotiate with the universe. It becomes the place you rest in. That's the true beauty of divine timing. Not just in what it brings, but in who you become while you wait. You're not the same person who began this season. You're deeper, stronger, more whole. And what's coming? It's not just an answered prayer. It's a mirror, a reflection of the strength you've earned, the wisdom you've gathered, the soul you become. Divine timing doesn't just shift your reality, it reshapes your spirit to be able to hold that reality. And when you start to trust the rhythm of the universe, something even bigger begins to rise, the understanding that your life is not ruled by chaos or chance. It's ruled by dominion, a vast, sacred intelligence that holds every moving piece in order. The universe isn't just on time. It's sovereign. It's not just reacting to your prayers. It's reigning over every detail. And that truth brings peace, not because everything suddenly makes sense, but because you finally know you're not in this alone. Dominion means even your missteps can't cancel your purpose. Even your darkest nights don't derail the plan. You're not here by accident. And your path, no matter how messy, is not random. Beneath the surface chaos, there's perfect order at work. Sometimes, that order requires tearing down what's too small to make space for what's meant to be. Imagine your life as a house under renovation. You were used to the old layout. It was safe, predictable. But the universe? It saw a palace hidden inside your foundation. So it started removing walls, expanding rooms, building new wings you never imagined. At first, that demolition feels violent. You grieve what's gone. You miss the comfort of what was. But over time, you see, it wasn't destruction. It was reconstruction. Letting go of control feels like losing your grip, but it's actually stepping back into alignment. Dominion Maya.